Hi, what we're going to learn today is a little bit about Spark Hybrid. Now before we go into Spark Hybrid, I want you to get a little feel of what Spark is. Alright, I apologize for the background noise. My headset isn't working and my lab is right behind me. So what is Spark? So Spark is this new way to do communications, very much like Slack, project-oriented, persistent chat, chat rooms, those kind of definitions or words come into my mind when I think of Spark. It has this concept called rooms. So in a room, just like a real room, you can go in a room, you can leave literature in a room, you can have communication in a room, you can have a meeting in a room, and if we dedicate that room to, let's say, Project A, and no one else is allowed in that room except Project A members, all Project A members can come in and out of that room and see what's happening in that room, see the communication that's happening, see the literature that's on the desk. They can meet in that room and things like that. So kind of think of that concept. So this concept of rooms. What else Spark has is voice video communication. So this concept of I can call you, caller from A to B, with voice video. So one Spark user can call another Spark user and use voice and video communications. It also has Webex. Remember I talked about the room and meeting in the room and things like that? That's where Webex comes into play. I think Cisco, the verbiage they use for Webex connected to Spark is Meet. Spark Meet, I believe. So we have this Webex concept. And then viewers. So inside the Spark, which I'm going to talk about Spark clients in a minute, but inside Spark clients, you have things like viewers. For example, if I send you a PowerPoint presentation to your iPhone and your iPhone doesn't have PowerPoint, you can still view it within the Spark client app, similarly on an Android as well. So we have this concept of viewers, where we can view content that's left in the room or posted to the room, or files that are posted. We can view that content within the Spark room, within the Spark client. And then we have this other thing. So this kind of wraps up, what the client, does, or the main features. And then we have this other additional thing called call services. I believe Cisco is going to call it call services. Call services is where, first, remember Spark is being sold by partners. So Verizon, us, we're going to sell Spark. I'm sure AT&T will, other partners, and it's up to us then to add some value add and things like that. One of the value add services that are going to be sold with Spark is call services. So I remember I said voice video. A can call B, Spark user A can call Spark user B, but I couldn't call mom, let's say, or my spouse. She's not part of my company. She's sitting at home and we have a home phone. So or she has a cell phone. How do I call her? She didn't have a Spark client or anything, so I have to call outside the system. I need SIP trunking, basically. So this is call services. That's the value add partners are going to add. And then in with that call services, I believe there's somehow, and I haven't read much about this, I haven't done this in the lab yet, but I don't want to mention too much about it, but there'll be some voicemail in there as well. And then we have the clients. Okay, so we have desktop and mobile clients. So desktop being PC, Mac, things like that. Mobile clients, iPhone, Android, iPad, things like that. And then we have a web client as well. So not only an app that you can download and you'll be on your Mac or your PC, but you also have web clients. So you can go in through a URL, log into Spark, and then you have that feature-rich functionality of voice video as well, because we're using the new technology WebRTC. Obviously, WebRTC isn't supported by all browsers, so there's some limitations on what browsers you're going to get that with. So, in a nutshell, that's Spark. Rooms, where we can have persistent chat. We can be invited to rooms. We can invite other people to our rooms. We can invite our project members into our rooms and have content sharing and chats and discuss things and voice video. before our meetings, after our meetings, during our meetings, what have you. We can always revisit if we need some information about, for example, I was running this one, the meeting coming up in 5 minutes, and I know someone's going to share a presentation, or I need to review a presentation that's going to be in that meeting, or I say, we get on the meeting, and where's the presentation? Did you send it out? Oh, we sent it out yesterday or 2 days ago, and then I got to go hunt for it. Well, in the room, the presentation will be there. Typically, people will upload the presentation into the room, and obviously then it saves us a lot of time and effort and things like that. So this is one of many little things. Voice video, point-to-point video, Webex, meeting with the members of the room, meeting together in a voice video collaboration, screen sharing collaboration. I should point out, point-to-point video also includes screen sharing, and then Webex kind of brings the multiple people into a collaboration meeting where we have voice video and screen sharing with multiple people. And then we have this concept of viewers. View content inside the client even though I don't have the application. You send me a presentation, PowerPoint presentation or Excel spreadsheet, and I don't have that on my iPhone, I'll still be able to view it because it has a viewer inside the client. Call services, PSTN calling. Desktop, mobile, and web clients. Web client being WebRTC enabled, or using the WebRTC capabilities of some browsers that have this built in for voice video and collaboration or screen share. So that's Spark in a nutshell. Just again, partners are going to be selling Spark, and or Cisco is going to be selling Spark through partners, and then obviously it's up to us, partners like us, Verizon and others, to add our value, whether it be onboarding, SIP trunking, APIs that go into Spark, things like that we need to start thinking of to add our value into this new team space collaboration application. So I told you we're going to talk about Spark Hybrid. So that's really what I want to talk about today. What is Spark Hybrid? What does it entail? Well, there's a couple of things that it brings to the table. I mentioned when you buy Spark, I mentioned call services, right? SIP trunking and things like that. If you have an on-prem system, Cisco UC on-prem, or you bought from Verizon, Verizon's Cisco UCAS, you already have SIP trunks. You have a voice video system already. So remember the call services I talked about with Spark. You could not do the call services, right, because you already have a platform. So that's kind of the concept of Spark Hybrid. You already have an audio, video, PSTN connectivity platform that you own. So we don't want the call services. We want to kind of glue the Spark Cloud stuff, the rooms and things like that, into our existing voice video unified messaging system. So kind of that's where we're going with Spark Hybrid. And let me point out the features that come along with that. So first, I want to call this call services because we call that just for Spark. Let's call it let's call it voice services. Okay. Now Spark, yes, you can call A to B all day long and voice video, but we need to add our on-prem voice video. How do we do that? Well, under the voice video, we're going to have a couple of features. One called Call Connect. I ran out of room there. And then one called Call Aware. Okay, what are these two features and how do they work? We're also going to have, let me go one more. We're going to have calendaring. All right, so we have voice, and we have some features under voice, and then we have calendaring. Okay, so let me explain these. What is voice? What do you get with this? Remember, you have an on-prem system, and let's draw a few phones here. These are on-prem, or my attempt to draw on-prem phones. Here's my two phones. Here's user A, here's user B. These two people have phones. They bought Spark, they bought Spark Hybrid. What can they do now? Well, if A user calls B user, remember they have Spark clients, could be on their desktops, could be in their iPhones or Androids, what have you. But let's say A user, well, let's start from the Spark perspective. From a Spark client, A user calls B user. When that happens, their enterprise voice system, their enterprise phone that's been sitting on a desk for years because they have Cisco unified communication, that phone will ring as well. So Spark to Spark user, Spark A user calling Spark B user, excuse me, in this case Spark B user calling Spark A user, his phone will ring as well. So not only is Spark client on his iPhone, Android, or desktop, but his phone will ring as well. Okay, pretty simple concept. Think of it as single number reach. We're all familiar with that. So what is call aware? So we've done call connect. What is call aware? Call aware is if A user calls B user, or let's say both of these users are in a call already on their Spark clients, and let's just say they're on desktop clients for usability. So here's a little desktop screen, and here's a little desktop screen, and both of them have Spark clients on them. They're in a call together. As soon as they excuse me, as soon as they come on a call together, this RTB stream starts flowing between their phones. Their Spark clients are aware of it and create a one-to-one room inside the Spark client. And what can you do in a one-to-one room? Well, it's just like Spark A calling Spark B user. You can share your screen. So there's the call aware part. If I pick up a phone, a hard phone from my enterprise, and call B user, his Spark and my Spark clients are aware of it. And if I say, oh, hey, I need to show you this Excel spreadsheet or this presentation, I can push a button on my desktop because it's already aware that him and I are talking, or him or her and I, and we can share our screen. That's what call aware is. Pretty simple. What is calendaring? So calendaring, we're going to go in depth this in the second part of this talk. But what calendaring is inside my Outlook client, whether it be on my iPhone, my Android, or my desktop. Inside my Outlook client, if I put at Webex in the location of my Outlook meeting, that will then put in my personal room information into that Outlook meeting so everybody has it. So let me say it a different way. If you're familiar with productivity tools, remember, you create a meeting, you push a button to add your room, and then when you send the meeting out to all your members that are going to join that meeting in Outlook, it brings in your Webex information, right? Kind of magically in the background, you see it kind of working. This is the same concept, but it's working in the background, in the server realm. Not on the desktop realm. You don't have to do anything on the desktop. At the desktop, at the location in your meeting in Outlook, all you're going to do is put at Webex. And what's going to happen in the background is there's some components that I'll show you in a minute that are going to know that you want to have a Webex meeting and your user Anson Garcia. Let me go look in Webex to see if there's a user Anson Garcia and grab your personal information for your personal room, bring it into Exchange, put it in your meeting for you. Again, without the need of anything on the desktop. That's the key thing. That's the cool thing. You don't need productivity tools on the desktop. You don't need any plugin on the desktop. You don't need Webex on your iPhone or iPad or anything like that. Inside your email client that you're used to using on your mobile device, you can put @Webex at the location there, and the same thing's going to happen. All that information for your Webex personal room is going to be added. Okay? This extends out to also, this is a harder one to kind of wrap your mind around, but you can put @Spark in the location in Outlook meeting as well. So you can have an @Webex and an @Spark. What does @Spark do? Well, it's going to add a Spark room to everybody's Spark client that you invited to that meeting. Okay, let me say that again. It'll add a Spark room to their Spark client, let's say on their desktop. They'll see a room pop up, Anson's team meeting, because I sent them a meeting invite in Outlook, and I put inside the location of my meeting request, I put this @Spark. So I'm creating, or automatically creating, a Spark room where all of us can meet prior to. Remember, Webex is for during the meeting, but prior to and after, I can have this Spark room, this persistent chat created in everybody's Spark client, and they could start talking about discussing the project or the meeting prior to the meeting even starts. In fact, I can even post the presentation or any files that I have for people to review prior to the meeting. How cool is that? Pretty cool. And that's where, of course, the room concept comes from. That's the power of the room concept, those features I just mentioned. Okay. We covered Call Connect. Think of it as simultaneous ringing. We covered Call Aware. Two people calling each other from the desk phones. Spark clients on their desktop are aware of that, and you can share your screen right away. We talked about calendaring, where we can add in our Webex information automatically without the need of any plug-in like productivity tools, and we can also add automatically a Spark room to everybody's client, so we can start talking and collaborating prior to, during, and after the meeting. All right? That is Spark Hybrid in a nutshell. Okay, one more thing that I'm going to add here. Obviously, with Spark Hybrid, as I said before, what do we have? We already have it. We have SIP trunks, right? We have some sort of PSDN calling. That's kind of, if you have some kind of Verizon UCAS and put Spark and bring Spark Hybrid in, if you have an on-prem Cisco UC and enable Spark Hybrid, obviously you're going to plug in all this stuff. Your Spark clients are going to be able to call the PSDN because they have view, or they have integration with your on-prem or Verizon UCAS. Okay, and then voicemail, obviously, as well. And of course, you have all the features that an enterprise Cisco UC system has: call recording, call blasting, all those things that you can integrate with single wire, and all those other things. So that's kind of the power. Spark Hybrid really brings that enterprise voice PBX in, and allows you all the myriad of integrations that you can do with all these third parties, but you still get then the kind of the integration with Spark rooms, Call Connect, Call Aware, and the calendaring features. Okay, so how does all this stuff work? So now we're going to go into kind of the technical piece of this. So if you're not technical, these might not make any sense to you, but I'm keeping it very high level. I understand it at a high level, so I'm going to try to teach it at a high level, and hopefully if you're not very technical, you get something out of this. Okay, so what do we have to make all this magic work that I talked about with Spark Hybrid? What are the components, what are the applications that are involved? Well, we have directory services, right? So we have LDAP. Okay, we definitely have that server sitting where it's a bunch of servers or what have you. I talked about Exchange integration, right? So we have some Microsoft Exchange environment as well. We have Cisco UC stuff, primarily CUCM. We have a call manager somewhere, either on-prem or hopefully provided by Verizon UCAS services. And then we have LDAP, Exchange, CUCM, and then we have this other guy, I'm going to call it Cisco Directory Services. I think it's called that, Cisco Directory Services, yeah. I have to look at my lab, I forgot. But Cisco Directory Services, now I'll explain what that is in a minute. Another server, all right? So these are environments and multiple servers or multiple servers. Okay, and then we have Cisco Expressway C. Now, is this the Expressway C that UCAS is providing you? Maybe. Is this Cisco? Is this Expressway C that you already have in your environment because you've deployed mobile remote access (MRA)? Maybe. Today, the stance is that this is a standalone Expressway C. All right, so we're going to think of it that way today. I think Cisco later on will say it's okay to run it on your, or what I'm going to go through in a minute, run these things on your existing Expressway C. But today, it is not. It is recommended to run this on a dedicated system. All right, and I know you don't know what's running on here yet, but I'm going to show you here in a minute. So what do we have in this environment in Spark Hybrid still? We have a customer enterprise. All right, let's call it Cust Network. Hopefully that's Verizon kit services. And then we have the internet. What's plugged into the internet? Spark. What's also plugged into the internet? Webex. Okay, so that's where those things live, out there. In other words, if anybody connects to a Spark client, or you have a Spark client connects to Spark services, they're coming from the cloud. They're not coming from Verizon or AT&T or anything like that, because Cisco owns this. We're selling it. Partners will sell it and add some value-added services to that, but they really exist out on the internet. They may exist in our data centers, but Cisco, and I don't know where they exist at, but Cisco owns that or renting that out. They care and feed for the Spark environment. So just remember, if a Spark client is up on a PC, it's connecting, even though you're in your enterprise over here, it's going out to the internet somehow and registering out here. I'm going to put that SP for Spark. Okay, so here are the different things that we have running. Think about the call connect and call aware first. All right, how does the call connect and call aware work? Remember your enterprise phones. Enterprise phone here. And we have another enterprise phone here. Those enterprise phones, I'll use a different color here. Well, let's stick with black for now. Are in the customer network and registering the call manager, right? They're hanging off the call manager. So, let me draw. I'm going to draw the Spark clients out here. Now, you could very well be in your customer network, and they have on their desktops Spark clients, but I'm just going to draw them out here just for the sake of simplicity. So somehow, you know, these desktops, and excuse me for my crude desktops here, and that's a Spark client, and then maybe we have another one over here. So these are two desktops. Could be mobile devices as well. Spark clients. Okay, and this is user A. This is user B. Similarly, this is user A, and this is user B. Okay, now just imagine these two desktops being next to the phones, because they probably will be. Don't have to be, but you know, if you want to get in your head that these two are right next to the phones, that's fine. So, if user A calls user B on their Spark client, what makes his phone ring? Okay? What makes that phone ring? That's the key. So, we should know right away that something glues these two environments together, and it is this Expressway C and what we call connectors, what Cisco calls connectors. So there's a connector from Expressway C into the Spark environment. I'm going to draw this in blue. Okay? This is, and in blue, we're going to go, obviously this Expressway C has a connector on the other side, the communication manager. Okay? Probably makes sense to you already, right? If user A calls user B on their Spark clients, obviously the Spark environment knows about that and can communicate with this Expressway C to tell the call manager, by the way, go ahead and ring, caller A is calling B, go ahead and ring B's phone at the same time. Okay? Think of it simultaneous ring. There's CTI remote devices and things like that for you technical guys, but this is just a high level. This is how things are working. This is the connectivity. This is what glues everything together. Again, Spark A calls Spark B. They both have enterprise phones as well. We're talking Spark Hybrid. And there's this connectivity through this Expressway C. There's no Expressway E here, just an Expressway C that communicates to the call manager that Spark A user is calling Spark B, so go ahead and ring Spark B's phone. Now, B can pick up on his Spark client and have a conversation. Right here, he can pick up on his enterprise client or enterprise phone and have, then the RTP stream would be from here, you know, somehow to the internet, right, to here. Doesn't matter. You know, think of it as a simultaneous ring thing. Similarly, B can call A in the same scenario. Okay? Let me do it the other way now. Caller A picks up his, or user A picks up his desk phone, calls B, calls his PSDN number, his DN number, calls B, and what's going to happen? Well, B's Spark client will ring as well. Okay? Pretty simple. Think of it again as single number reach. Okay? So that's we just explained the call connect piece. Right? Remember I told you the feature call connect. This is really the call connect, and that's what's involved. Very simple stuff. For you technical folks, there's a CTI remote device in here. That CTI remote device has a remote destination. That remote destination is the URI of these guys. So these guys have URIs. These guys have DIDs. Now, yes, you can have URIs inside the enterprise as well, but let's don't talk about that right now. But that's kind of the way it works. Okay, so let's talk about call. Let's pick another color. How about green? And let's talk about call aware. So same thing happens here. The same kind of communication goes on. And doesn't matter. Let's say these two guys are talking right here. A calls B, and they use the enterprise phones. This communication, call manager, is communicating with Expressway. This communicates with Spark, and then the Spark clients, both Spark clients of A and B user, are aware that these two guys are talking to each other on the phone, on their hard phones. And what does that do? Remember I told you it creates a spark room, a one-to-one spark room, so they'll get a little spark room in there. A and B will get a spark room, and immediately they'll be able to, even though they're using their enterprise phones, be able to click to share their screen. Okay? Call aware. That's it. Simple as that. Okay, so let's go through the Exchange piece, and then I'm going to talk about this piece here in a minute. Remember the calendaring. Now we're going into calendaring. What is calendaring? How does calendaring work? At Webex, at Spark. Remember. So let's use, what haven't we used? Blue? Did I use blue already? I'm going to stick with green. Let's stick with that. Okay, so Exchange. Exchange has a connector, you guessed it, Expressway C. Just like so. Remember when we're talking calendaring, we're talking Webex. Remember at Webex? So Expressway C has a connector to Webex. Okay? That's it. We pretty much did the calendaring here. And how does it work? Where's my desktops? My desktops are out here. So my desktops are out here, but I'm in Exchange. User A creates a meeting in Exchange, and in that meeting invites B, and in the location of that meeting puts at Webex. Okay, we'll leave the at Spark out for now. At Webex. Okay, when that's saved, right? Now it exists inside Exchange, right? It's inside Exchange, inside his inbox. Let's call it his inbox calendar. His inbox calendar, A has a meeting inside there, and in the location it has at Webex. Well, Expressway C has a connection to Exchange and can look inside, let's say, for lack of a better way to put it, look inside each user's calendar, especially user A, and he sees that this user A put at Webex in his location. Let me go see, I have user A as a Spark user, and what I'll do is go ahead and look, does that user also exist in Webex? Yes or no? If yes, pull that user's personal room information, bring it this way, and put it inside his meeting. Simple as that. So again, it's the connectors. You'll hear this term connectors. You'll hear Cisco and the language inside technical documents talking about connectors. This is what they mean. Again, we have a connector to Exchange. We have obviously a user that this logs in as and does some roles and things like that for you technical guys. They're no different than the roles that when you set up unified messaging with Unity connection. It's the same kind of role rights and things like that. So it's nothing foreign when you start doing this in the lab or doing this for a customer. It's nothing weird or anything. It's very, very familiar to you if you've set up unified messaging before. And then obviously we connect up to the Webex environment. Nothing weird there. URL, admin username, and login and stuff like that. So this thing has a connector into there and over here. Okay, so let's do the at Spark now. Almost the same thing. Expressway or user A maybe put at Spark as well in his meeting. Expressway C is looking at that user's Expressway meeting request. He sees at Spark there. This happens. He's got a connector in the Spark. Does that user exist at Spark? Yes. Who did he invite? He invited B to the Spark room. So go ahead and inside B, Spark room, Spark client, create a room, and anyone else that he invited that's part of the Spark environment to that meeting, go ahead and create a room inside their Spark clients so these guys can start collaborating before, during, and after the meeting. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If you don't, rewind, listen to it again. Okay, so I got two things over here I haven't really talked about. So let's wrap it up and let's talk about those. I'm getting my black again. LDAP. The way all this magic works, remember I was talking about user A and B. Well, this Spark and Webex really needs to know what users exist in Exchange, what users exist in Call Manager. Remember, in Call Manager we have this sync process, right, where we suck users in and populate Call Manager, right? So what they're doing here, what Cisco is doing with this Spark hybrid system, is the exact same thing. Okay, because the same users that exist in Call Manager need to exist over here, because they're connecting these call control mechanisms. This is kind of a soft phone. These are hard phones, but they need to know of each other, and the users need to be synced up and things like that, because the same users that have phones on their desktops or iPhones or whatever through the Spark client are the same users that have maybe hard phones in this environment, in the enterprise environment. So we need to pull this same user database. That's what this guy is for. Cisco Directory Services. Cisco Directory Services. Or is it Cisco Directory Sync? Don't remember. But I'm going to call it Cisco Directory Services. So we pull those users in here, and once we have them here, unfortunately this doesn't go that way, so there's another little connection here. And this guy has a connector that goes to Spark. That's how these users get populated over there. So pull them from LDAP to Call Manager, and then pull them over here to populate Spark. And so you have the same users, A and B. And LDAP we have A and B. And of course Call Manager is pulling from there. So we have A and B. And we have attributes in A and B, right? Put B down here. A DN number, maybe 1, 2, 3. DN number 4, 5, 6. A URI, whatever. So it's going to be the same here. DN number 4, 5, 6. A URI as well. Same number. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. A URI as well. So that's how these things kind of all sync together and have the same information for all users, because you need the same information for all users in here, especially DNs and URIs and things like that, to know what to ring, when to ring it, how to ring it. Not how to ring it, but you kind of get the picture. If someone's calling, this is kind of like a PBX out here. If A is calling B, we need the same users, the same DNs, or the same information out here, so we can send that this way and make sure A is calling B over here as well. So hopefully that's been helpful to you, and if you want to tie it all together, please watch the demos where I'm going to talk about Call Connect, Call Aware, and calendaring. Thanks for watching.